Minutes.
I think we're live, just waiting for the notifications to come in.
Okay then.
Hi, let us know if you can see us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. I'm yet to get a notification though, so I'm just kind of waiting for that to come.
Okay.
Okay, so I just saw it on LinkedIn.
Okay, the notification from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Good. Let me see if I can share it on my. Yes, that will make sense, right?
You want to do what?
Share it on my.
I just saw it on
yeah. Okay, the notification from LinkedIn. I think there's a delay.
Yeah.
I will share it.
Hi, people. If you can see us or hear us, please let us know. Please send a comment. Let us know where you're seeing us from, so we're sure that we're streaming already.
I'm like that guy that is going on radio and calling all his parents and say, "Hey, come see me. I'm on already."
I never saw that, so I don't know. Okay, anyways, we're live on LinkedIn, so we'll just get started. Hi, Rajesh. Oh, thank you. Okay, Rajesh can hear us and can see us, so we're live on LinkedIn. So
okay,
let's go. Awesome. All right. So today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. We're going to be chatting about it. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask me questions in regards to this topic we're going to be chatting about. And to be honest, I know my strength is in business analysis. However, there's a lot of emerging roles and a lot of specialties that that are coming about these days that I'm like, why don't we have someone who is a subject matter expert in this field come talk to us about this emerging role in supply chain, right? So you've been in supply chain, you have experience in that field. How can you emerge into the supply chain business analyst role, which is I see Abiodun I'm seeing a lot of supply chain business analyst roles in the US and in Canada as well. So this is going to be a very interesting topic, and I know you have a lot to share. So let's get started. I'd like you to introduce yourself to us, tell a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Abiodun Oke. I'm a supply chain management consultant. Well, I have been in the supply chain profession for roughly about 14 to 15 years. I also kind of discovered supply chain while I was job searching. I got an opportunity as a contract officer at the Shell Petroleum in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, through my relatives.
Yeah.
And then what happened then is that I was just kind of a little bit confused as to, okay, what is this? But I wanted to work somewhere close to engineering, right? So that's why I actually accepted this role. But I was a curious person. I started digging and digging, and all of a sudden I happened to discover this El Dorado of, a new profession, which was really what really endeared me to supply chain is because it connects everything. I mean, I tell people that supply chain is the industry itself. I mean, COVID-19 has proven that to us. But I've been saying that for a long time. I practiced there for about 5 years. I worked with Total for 1 year. And this really, working with these multinationals actually exposed me to the best practices in supply chain, I must confess, because I was really exposed to, the end-to-end what supply chain entails. And it was also there I got introduced to the enterprise resource planning tool, pretty much SAP. I used one of the models for material management. So I immigrated to Canada 2010, and I worked in a couple of public organizations, which also it's a high opener for me, because uh, the laws kind of different from where I was coming from, and it was a little bit of a challenge. But what I'm really grateful for is the fact that I got this range of exposures in supply chain, talking about the public sector, the private sector. What is really fun is working in procurement, because my role has always been in procurement for the most part, though I might be providing support to different types of activities in supply chain as it is in industry. It is still procurement is like it is like the one that connects almost everything together. Without procurement, really things cannot happen in supply chain. So for engaging third parties to procure and acquisition of different types of materials and goods and services. And some of those things we're going to be chatting about today, actually, just jump into the presentation already. So I'm going to leave that for the presentation.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to let you, get into it. And I have lots and lots of questions, lots of questions, but I'm pretty sure the presentation is going to answer a lot of questions. But, if you have questions already, feel free to drop your questions, and we'll have some time, after the presentation to answer questions. So let's get to it. I'm excited.
So, well, we'll talk about the SCM models, the way it has evolved over time. Think about it, supply chain management is actually a very young profession, but indeed it's been in existence for a long time. I say that it's since the wheel was invented. That's when we had supply chain. It just so happened that in year 2000, that's when this name came up through a consulting company. So we'll talk about SCM as it is, the supply chain management as it is of today. We'll talk about what SCM is going to be. It's already happening, right? Even with COVID-19 for us. So we're going to talk about that. Then all the digital transformation trends that we are seeing, and how this is impacting the supply chain management profession, and the emerging roles as a result of all these changes that are happening in the industry. We're going to talk about some key technical skills for anyone who actually acts as a supply chain business analyst, because that's really what we're going to focus in on. A lot of business analysts are going to be on this session, so we're going to focus pretty much just on that in terms of the technical skills requirements to actually become a supply chain business analyst. Okay. Let's go. So you have this model of supply chain management. This is the one you will see every time, most of the time. But what is supply chain management? Well, it involves physical movement of physical goods, and that is really what has been the main function for a long time. I'm sure you heard about logistics. If you think about logistics, it's just about how to get some goods from one place to the other. Just so happen in the industry, when you are delivering goods, or you're delivering products, or you're delivering services, it might involve some type of physical movements of goods. Phone, for example, if you purchase phone from Amazon, for example, or from Apple, yeah, apparently they have to get it to you. So what is involved in that is logistic, and it's still part of the supply chain function. But aside from that, there are other activities that actually are involved in orchestrating all of these things to make it happen, to make that delivery happen to you, happen where you get the goods and services that you have requested for. That is actually the supply chain management part of it. It's an umbrella function. So pretty much everything you can think about in the industry. I know it's easy to put it that way, but of course there are still some differences in different types of sub functions in supply chain management. So supply chain management, we will be managing a system of goods, suppliers, technology, processes, information, people, and activities. Does it sound familiar already? Because I know business analysis. This is what it is.
Right.
So the thing is that supply chain is just so invasive. Like it enters into anything you can talk about in the industry. That's the interesting thing about supply chain. So we have this model by Porter's. Michael Porter is a professor. He created this thing to help us to understand how the supply chain works. We have support activities, pretty much the infrastructure, the human resource management, technology, and the procurement. And then all of these activities, the support activities, are helping to orchestrate all the primary activities. These primary activities are involves sometimes the conversions of raw materials to finished products, right? So you would have things like manufacturing, like we talked about before, logistics, the operations activity, manufacturing operations, outbound logistics. So when they say outbound, basically is when you're actually delivering the product to the customer. Inbound being that when the material is coming in, say for example, into a manufacturing plant. And then you have people who are engaged in the marketing and the sales activities, and of course the services. So basically, there'll be some services activities. So why do supply chain management? Because it represents a competitive advantage for almost every organization. The reason why you see a lot of organizations involved in supply chain management or having it as a critical function is because they need to deliver products at competitive prices for the most part. But we are already seeing some changes to that. Like customers are not only interested in competitive prices, they're interested in the experience, like they want to have some type of experience. They want to have some customizations, things that they would get that will be different from what every other person has. Not, so we're moving away from the mass um, uh, production. We're moving to what they call mass segmentation, where each person could actually then dictate the kind of material, the kind of products that they want. So all of this thing needs to be managed properly, so that a company or a firm stays competitive to basically have some margin after all of these activities have happened. You have some margin that leads to profit, so that the company or the firm is engaged in a profitable business. So this is really the essence of supply chain management function in any company. Okay,
Okay.
so having said that, there has been a lot of changes going on. What I mentioned earlier, we talked about physical goods. That's how we started with in supply chain management function. Pretty much it wasn't really a matured function then. You'd have things like clerical officers. Those are supply chain managers. They're clerks, and that's what they call them. You have business admin officers or even administrative officers and all of that. So then those were traditional functions, and they were not horizontal in the sense that they're silos. Everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, and they're not sharing any information and all of that. So that's a type of we call it linear. Actually, that's what we call that type of maturity level in supply chain management function. And by the way, a lot of people are still operating this linear thing.
I think this is kind of like the one that everybody knows, really, the linear.
Exactly. So we've moved away from that actually, but a lot of people who are still maybe not following the changes that are happening, they still see supply chain or they see logistics. That's what some people know sometimes. They see commerce. Commerce, of course, commerce happens in the industry, but that's not really supply chain. It's just one little tiny transaction going on. That's commerce, and that would happen in the linear maturity stage of supply. And we moved to integrated. So the one of the challenges we have with the linear, like I said, is that there are silos. Everybody just doing their own stuff. So
Yeah.
there are challenges with exchange of information between different functions like quality assurance, like accounting. All of these people are just doing stuff on their own without exchanging information, and it creates a lot of waste, where when you don't have those information, you're not able to properly plan. So we entered into that planning era of supply chain, which is called integrated, whereby you now have some systems in place that actually could integrate all of the functions in an organization where there is a seamless flow of information that we could use in planning end to end the supply chain activities or even the production process or whatever it is that is happening within that organization. So we ended that was the integrated stage. With the integrated stage, we had systems like the manufacturing resource planning tool. It moved into enterprise resource planning tool. And I'm mentioning all this because as a business analyst, you deal a lot with technology, right? Um, and this is the reason why I'm mentioning all these systems. But even at that, even though the firm is sort of integrated internally, okay, where we are cooperating with external parties at process level as well, because you still need to issue purchase orders. At transactional level, we still have some engagement with external parties to purchase goods and all of that. So we have all this purchasing function emerging. Then even some functions still today, they still bear the name purchasing department. So it has at this era we had all of that. You have all these transactional activities going on, but yet it wasn't yet matured enough. Believe me, a lot of organizations are still at this level. Even majority of organizations are still at the integrated level. Uh, but the competitiveness and the maturity level move to the next stage with globalization. A situation where you have outsourcing happening, maybe in China, happening in Mexico. You have labor arbitrage, right? Where the labor is cheaper in China and all of that. A company can decide to move their manufacturing plant to China. Apple did that, and it became a situation where integrated maturity level is not enough. We had to move to the extended where the delivery process happening in our organization has to tightly integrated firms across the globe. That's what happened with the standard, where you could be delivering stuff, product services here in Canada, and you have, some organizations in India actually doing most of the work. Like customer service, for example, when you talk about telecommunication, you have all of that. And then we have a collaborative culture actually now well matured in the organization. Well, as it is, I believe that 100%, if let's say 99, I don't want to over exaggerate, or 99% of organizations are still at this extended stage. So the challenges here, though, was presented to us with the fact that there is still a lot of routine tasks going on, in an extended stage of supply chain. There's still even we got a situation where uh, communication challenges, cultural differences, and all that all play into how this type of extended firm actually operates. And we're still having some issues with that. So we now so far, it has been established in it for us to move into the cognitive stage, of course, because there has been a lot of things happening lately, and also there are the fact that we moved a lot of activities abroad, we outsourced, and we became extended in that nature. We created an ecosystem that is global. It happened in China, or it happened in Africa, or it happened in Poland, like the volcano eruption and all that. It impacts somebody who is here. It impacts a firm that is here in Canada or in United States. So some of the issues we're dealing with when you have an extended firm. You wanted to say something?
Oh, no. I was just agreeing with you.
So there's has been the need now to go fully into the cognitive supply chain management maturity level, where we know that with the help of technology, we will have a system that is self-learning and adaptive, resilient, and also agile in nature. So that is the challenge that remains for us now, and this is the reason why we are talking about what the discussion we're having today actually is why we're here to talk about that stage. So there you have it. This is the extended enterprise. So you see the challenges you have there. You have volatile markets, uncertainties everywhere. Even customers' tastes are changing every 2 weeks by influencers on Instagram. And then you have to respond to that too. There's technology
Yeah.
capability issues as well. So this
And
is
then all the suggestions, I mean, the ads and everything all up in your faces, right?
exactly
So,
exactly. And then also, we are now struggling with some of the systems or the legacy systems or the legacy architecture that we have, which is the extended enterprise. Uh,
mm,
during the COVID-19, we had this situation where the tissue paper just vanished from all.
vanish from the
Yeah, so
earth.
those issues, it means that we're not really in charge. I know there's this culture of if it's not broken, don't fix it. That's
Mm,
where we were before COVID-19. Apparently, a lot of folks, a lot of organizations have changed their minds right now because they're really seeing that they're pretty much exposed to a lot of things and they have to just adapt to the disruption that is happening in the industry. And this is the reason why we're talking about the technology and SCM convergence. Convergence in the sense that when you see the kind of technology disruption that is happening, there are a lot of people who are scared that, like they have issues with, oh, technology is going to take my job and all of that stuff. This is some of the resistance you would see even on individual level. Now, talk about the resistance you will see at an organizational level. To actually implement these technologies is huge investment, very
okay.
huge investment. So let
Yeah.
me let me take us back to my first slide. My first slide, I talk about technology being a support activity. Okay, so that happened all the way to the extended maturity stage, where
Mm,
technology was just being a support activity. But tell you what, that has changed. Okay, now we now have a situation where technology itself has become SCM. So in the model that I showed you, you will see that technology is just a parallel. It's not really showing it to be part of the main activity. But
yeah.
now technology has actually become the main activity in supply chain management. A lot of people will disagree with me, but this is what is going. I mean, it's just in our face right now. And the earlier we are able to understand what is going on, the better, because now we there's an opportunity. So there's a risk side of this technology disruption that everybody seems to be making so much noise about. But how about the opportunity side of it? So these are the areas that I think we have to be looking into more now, because my advice as a supply chain professional is that we need to disrupt the disruption that is happening to the industry.
Mm,
Um, Basically, what the opportunity that presents for us is that we're able to augment human capabilities with these advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, analytics, and all. I mean, I'll talk about some of them soon. But then
yeah.
also COVID-19 happened. With COVID-19, everybody now realized that you can work from home. And the same thing happened with our resistance. So that's a resistance there. This culture that you have to go to the office before you can work. So this same resistance has been happening with the technology disruption, where everybody felt like I'm okay with Excel, but no, you're not, because now you realize that with COVID-19 now has actually become a catalyst in this evolution of supply chain management, where we realize that, well, we better fix this because apparently supply chain is broken, and that happened with the scarcity of the nose, the masks, the face masks. It happened with sanitizer. I mean, sanitizer. You would imagine that that shouldn't be something that should just be flying off the shelf. It happened where everything became scarce, regarding the health sector, even critical supplies became scarce. And that's when it was in our face right there that, look, you are working with a broken system and it's time for you to adapt to the technology disruption that is happening. Of course, we have organizations that are already doing that. I mean, Amazon already disrupted the retail sector as it is. So we have a model right there that is working, but it's just that a lot of organizations will first of all think about the investments they would have to make. We're talking about, for some organizations, we're talking about billions of investments in dollars, millions of investments in dollars. And by the way, there has been some organizations that have implemented these solutions and they failed. As a matter of fact, as far back as when technology was a support function in supply chain management, we have a pharmaceutical company that actually that had to file for bankruptcy because they did not properly manage their ERP implementation. So we sort of had in supply chain and in industry generally, we sort of have that kind of relationship with technology, because we've seen now that, look, these guys will come to you and tell you, they'll market these technologies to you, they'll tell you all these sweet stories, and boom, you will spend millions of dollars. And then and what happened is that after you install these systems, the next thing is that they will tell you, oh, for you to be able to do this little thing, tweak this little feature, you have to pay some $1 million of, you just keep digging and digging and digging. Before you know it, the company has folded up. We had that kind of do I call it deja vu with technology with during the integrated era, where a lot of companies were implementing the enterprise resource planning tool. So that was still kind of fresh in our memory in the industry, that, look, I don't want to implement any technology right now because I've seen it already. And so, but now COVID-19 came, and it's a situation where we are kind of left with no choice, because it's now in our face that we have to adapt. Our supply chain is not resilient, it's not adapting, and it's not agile. COVID-19 kind of is a business case by itself for that. So a lot of organizations are now open. They are now open to technology, digital transformation, basically. So what is digital transformation anyways? The application of Internet of Things, advanced robotics, analytics of big data in supply chain to significantly improve performance. So that's what it is. It's just to improve performance. That's what it is. And then customer satisfaction, which of course that's what any other company wants, which is competitive advantage, basically. I remember this word where they said now that the competition now in the industry is between supply chains. If your supply chain is not competitive, is what it is.
Abiodun, people want same day delivery, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you cannot do that, tell me what your supply chain is all about, right? Because Amazon is doing that with their advanced technologies already. They could already predict with analytics what you are going to be ordering on monthly basis. So even before you go online to order it, they already delivered it. That's what it is. So imagine that type of competition, right? So if you are a moms or pops, you have your store in one corner store there, and you're expecting people to come to you to come and buy stuff. Well, forget it, because we really move beyond that right now. That's just what it is. We have to adopt these technologies, or things are not gonna go well for these companies who are still resisting these changes that are happening. So yeah, there you go. This is what we're trying to achieve here. This is SCM 4.0 to be cognitive supply chain. Like I said, you have a model of Amazon already, and then pretty much Walmart is just catching up. Okay, because they realize that, look, if we don't adapt to these changes, this technology disruption, basically we're going out, because it's already to a lot of organizations. I mean, 100 years old companies like Sears, they fold up because of Amazon. That's the only reason I could ascribe to that, is because of Amazon that Sears could no longer operate. So companies really do not have any other choice than to compete on supply chain to supply chain basis. And if you want to do that, then you have to adopt this technology. No, so the challenges here with adopting, where it's great is, like everybody wants to have that level of competition in the market, right?
Yeah.
But there are challenges. Companies don't have staff that are properly trained, to be able to even technology deployment by itself. Pretty much the issue here is you have a lot of management consulting companies who actually are the ones with the competence to deliver this type of deployment. But what happens if once they are done? It means that if you're not properly managing that transition, that implementation process, you would end up with a lot of bill from the management consulting company. So aside from using these management consulting companies to actually do the implementation, you need to also develop that capability in your own organization to be able to carry through with that the processes or the continuous development after these management consulting firms already did their own job. And then there's also the cultural issues, the environment in which these organizations are operating, whereby they might not be adaptable or they're not really open to these new changes. What we have is a lot of digital waste because there are no data management governance in place in these organizations as it is. There are a lot of digital waste, a lot of data that should have been used to actually optimize operations, supply chains are not happening because we're now left with a situation where we don't have a good structured data. A lot of data in these organizations are dirty data, and we need people to be able to help with those type of situations. So yeah, it's what it is. Supply chain has become a technology as it is what it is. So we have the Internet of Things. Before, when we had a linear supply chain, we were talking about physical goods, but those goods now um, you know, they become what we call IoT now, because all of those physical goods could then be, they could have some sensors put in them, and you can track them on the internet. So that's what we have now, where these physical goods now could be tracked electronically, and that's what is happening. Uh, it assimilates the physical world into programmable computing systems, enable everyday objects to be sensed, monitored, and administered remotely within an existing network infrastructure. The same thing with data analytics. Making sense of data that we're gathering in supply chain, it's a huge challenge. I mean, for anyone who wants to implement these technologies, you need to figure out your data first before you can implemented. Then there's the robotic and AI automation, which basically takes away all these routine tasks so that your resources, your best brains can be focused on strategic stuff rather than all this manual, heavy labor stuff that are not really helping the organization. So that's the supply chain reality of today. The thing that is also going on here is we now have emerging supply chain management roles as a result of these challenges. I talked about the issue with data, dirty data in the organizations. The fact that we're talking about $1 million investments where organizations, they've already had some bad experience with technology. And now if they're going to implement the emerging technologies like IoT and all of that in order to stay competitive, then they need to make sure that the implementation processes are managed by people who are actually trained, to deliver this type of solutions. And this is the reason why you're seeing that these are emerging roles that we see. The supply chain system architects, basically their role is they are the one that actually develop the digital transformation strategy itself, and they are the ones who basically will orchestrate all the integration between the IT system, the administrative processes, and also to make sure that they're able to streamline all the SCM supply chain management functions. And then this translates into maybe new projects. So they'll build a proposal basically, based on these architectures. Then you have the supply chain business analysts. Those guys, which I believe a lot of them are here on online, they are the ones who actually would analyze the current systems to ensure that they're basically able to capture the state of things as it is to then further analyze, determine what the business requirements are, going forward, the specifications, and then they use that for the integration with technology. Then we have the data analyst. The data analyst, basically, their role here is to help with the data situation where they are the one now to help to make sure that those data that have been generated on a daily basis, they
Yeah.
become moved into a structured data that can be fed into the artificial intelligence, if you have, or even into maybe visualizations that could be used to drive effective business decisions. So you see, all of these are going to be very, very critical going forward for any organization, as a matter of fact, who probably have a road plan, a roadmap for the implementation of these emerging technologies. These guys are going to be very critical, but we're going to just focus in on the supply chain analyst. Supply chain business analyst. Well, of course, the supply chain foundation needs to be very, very strong. I'm sure a lot of you guys who are here, either you're a business analyst or you're a supply chain people who are open to tap into the opportunities being involved in technology deployment or digital transformation, then you need to your supply chain knowledge needs to be very sound in the area of procurement, operations, either manufacturing or inventory management, logistics, customer service. Now, of course, the continuous improvement, because really that's what you're doing. Actually, the continuous improvement and continuous innovation, you need to be also very versatile in all these areas. A lot of the guys who are into business analysis or project management already have these skills or already acquire some level of knowledge in all these things. Of course, strong ERP skills. Basically, the ERP has now become an infrastructure in supply chain that any organization, especially those who are Fortune's 500 or even those who are really serious about the business that they're doing, you need to have some level of ERP at play because you don't want all your information scattered all over the place. And the type of things we're having these days are also well integrated with all this emerging technology. As a matter of fact, because you now have cloud as a service, it is just so kind of uh, I would say you don't need huge investment. Even small companies, 20 man companies, 50-man companies can afford to have ERP in place now instead of having your data scattered all over the place, especially the transactional data. Makes life easy for people who are into the data aspects of this business because now if they have an ERP in place, then it becomes easier for them to manage the data and to also implement a data governance in place. So we have SAP. These are the common vendors, Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle, and there are also this new the new entrance into especially the cloud as a service ones. There are a lot of them out there that you could also get familiar with. But I just mentioned these ones because they are pretty much the ones who have the market share as it is. There are also business intelligence tools and data analytics tools that you need to be aware of. The SQL query using, retrieving data. That's basic. You have this data, then how do you retrieve them? You need the query language to be able to retrieve them. Tableau is used for visualization, especially if you're communicating with the upper level. They want to see things that won't waste their time, and they wanted to communicate it
Yeah.
and be able to make decision faster. So Tableau is a very good one there. There's Power BI tool. I think the Power BI is a Microsoft product as well. Of course, project management because we're talking about technology deployment. It's about planning. It's about execution. It's about monitoring to make sure that your goal of achieving a digitally transformed operation, you're tracking it, properly to make sure that whatever variations you're seeing, you're addressing it immediately and properly to make sure that you achieve the future state that which I believe is a business objective in this type of scenarios. So the project management for sure, it's very, very critical as well. So that's it for me. I hope I haven't taken much of your time here.
It's good.
I hope it was cool to you guys. I'm also recognizing some of the guys that worked on this in January, the Supply Jobs Canada. You know what? They say that it takes a village, to raise a child. So I'm that child. So these guys are the ones that work with me on the innovation focus group. These
Mm,
are the consultants that work with me. Arvin Matharo, Adeleke Adebayo, and Pramina Kang and Ifeanyi Ojo work with me. They help us to understand some of the things that are happening in technology disruption. These are the team members that work with me also.
okay.
Understand what is going on in the industry. Adedolapo, Ayojo Caleb, Rotimi, Fadipesh, so these are project managers, these are consultants. So shout out to all these guys. They did a very great job with me in January. And also, just in case there are hiring managers as well, there's some of them are also still exploring the industry for opportunities. These
Mm.
are guys with me if you want to engage them. Just to explore. That'll be awesome. Okay, that's it for me. We can talk about the questions that we have.
All right, that was really, really enlightening. It was really awesome. I might so agile. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. In the cognitive, which is where 4.0, right? And I saw agility. I was going to ask, oh, how about, so that means there should be some Six Sigma and Lean. And then I saw that, among technical skills, I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. So for a business analyst, who wants to move into supply chain,
Yeah.
what would be the recommendation with regards to learning that the person needs, like based on knowledge? Maybe the person already has the BA skills, but what other, in addition, should the person have for knowledge?
So generally, when it comes to skills acquisitions, I believe that there are three different categories of skill acquisitions in supply chain management. You could go to a college to actually do a certificate program specifically on supply chain management just to augment, your business analysis. So that's the academic route. Okay,
Yeah.
certification route, pretty much things like the supply chain management certifications. We have in the supply chain Canada, they have an SCMP one, but these are for leadership roles in supply chain management. And if it's something that you really want to go deep into supply chain, right, as a business analyst, which yeah, it's also something that if you desire to have, to move into that would be a very big move, right? But there are also still some other ways you could approach this. You could do you have the ethics certifications that are also still there. That wouldn't require the commit in terms of a lot of investment. They have the CPIM, which deals with inventory management, and then there's also the one which is called the CSCP, that actually supply chain management professional one. So, which also, if you can go through that, it's also a way to get recognition, in terms of supply chain management foundational knowledge. That would also help. In terms of the ERP, SAP has tons of ERP certification out there. It depends on what you want. That is another thing entirely even by itself for today. If we can't even go there, but
Yeah.
there are different modules, right? If you're a business analyst who wants to focus on implementation of the finance aspects of things, there will be the type of certification you would do. If you focus on material management, yeah, there are certifications for that. And then also there are certifications regarding data analytics or even certificates. There are quite a number of them. Even on LinkedIn, LinkedIn even has some of those materials as well that you can use to actually acquire some level of knowledge in data analytics, for example, where
Yeah.
if you can have attained that, if it's possible, you could even go much more than that. I know there are MIT has some particular certification that actually focus on supply chain analytics. So if you have business analysis, I think that would be a great one to add the supply chain analytics to that, to just it onto what you have as a business analyst. Generally, I will advise folks who are into business analysis to approach things from the three different areas that I mentioned earlier. I talked about the architects, I talked
Yeah,
about business analysts, and I also talked about the data analyst. So you have different entry right there for you.
yeah,
The
yeah,
architect will be somebody who is really in the industry. I think an architect that you pursue. It's just a matter of upskilling in supply chain with
mm,
what you already have, and you can actually pursue becoming an architect, a solution architect in supply chain. Now,
yeah,
for those who have business analysis experience and that, yeah, of course, you can go into that second one level there, and then the people who probably don't have supply chain and they don't have business analysis and they still want to pursue this career, they can go for a data analyst role. So which means get some data analysis certifications, and then start applying for roles that looks like what in supply chain at that level.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
you need to have those foundational knowledge. It's very critical in supply chain to have those foundational knowledge. You could always do that through the certifications, or you go to school,
hmm,
or even use yeah, a lot of material on LinkedIn as well.
yeah, for sure. LinkedIn learning is amazing. It is
Yeah.
amazing. All right. So, how about someone who has experience in supply chain, right? I've worked, maybe as a purchasing manager or as a logistics manager, as an inventory manager, or I've just sort of worked across supply chain for a while. And I want to move into, the business analysis, part of supply chain, right? I want to be more involved in the technology sort of. So, I have supply chain experience. I want to move into, business analysis, right?
Yeah.
How do I go about that transition?
I mean, you're the guru in that area, actually.
Yeah. So is it just picking up the technical skills?
Yeah, the technical skills are very, very like those technical skills that I actually highlighted. They are very, very important. But of course, you can like somebody who is in supply chain. You want to go into this technology aspect. Of course, you would want to do something in the area of CPAP. Getting that certification there because I've also learned in this environment that getting that recognition is very, very, very critical, regardless of what your experience is or what your academic background is.
Yeah.
Get CBAP if you fall into that category of somebody who is in the supply chain. You want to tap into this opportunity and you want to go fully into the technology implementation, technology deployment. Yeah, go for it because and the interesting thing here is that a lot of the bodies who are actually supply chain associations, well, they've told us, that fine, technology deployment is now a critical skill set in supply
Mhm.
chain, but there's really no roadmap yet
Mm.
for anyone who wants to put technology deployment as their own specialization. And this is the area where I'm actually exploring personally. I don't know if it's something that we can work together on that, for
Yeah.
those technology deployment as their own area of specialization. I mean, it would be great to see how we can kind of draft a roadmap, for those type of people.
For sure. So this is a common struggle with a lot of immigrants, and so let's come down to that integration. You move here as an immigrant.
Mm.
I haven't met a lot of immigrants from other countries that have experience in supply chain, but I've met a lot from Nigeria, and a lot of them had the UK certifications, and coming here, yeah, the MSIPs, and it's really not that relevant. So they have to do like the Canadian or the American ones. So with regards to that situation, what's your advice for someone who is looking to move or is already here and has worked in supply chain for a while and gotten those UK certifications and has come here to realize you know it doesn't work here. So for someone who is moving or someone who's just getting here, what's your advice for them to sort of quickly integrate?
Yeah, that's a very good question there because I also coach a lot of people and they are also in the same boat.
Yeah.
What I would advise really is if you have MSIPs, you can still approach Supply Chain Canada, to let them assess your experience and your education. And then, yeah, well, maybe they would say, okay, well, you still have to go write these exams and all that before you can actually get the SCMP. That's
Yeah.
most likely. But I think a lot of folks are also going through certificate programs in schools. So there are some certificate programs that have been accredited by the Supply Chain Canada, such
Okay.
that when you complete that program, you are able to just do maybe some workshops and you're done. You get your SCMP. So some folks are going through that. It's just a 1 year program basically. The opportunity you also have there, especially for those immigrants, the opportunity you have when you go through these type of programs is because you get an internship opportunity as well.
Okay.
I'm not saying all these schools provide that, but if you are going to go for that 1 year to basically get that opportunity to get SCMP, then make sure also that that school is able to help you with internship.
Okay.
That's your foot in the door right there. You don't want to come out of that program and then you're still kind of hustling to get opportunity, right? So that's why, and it's an investment that you're making. So you need to make sure that you're putting your money in the right place.
Yes.
Uh, or University of Winnipeg do have that type of affiliation with Supply Chain Canada, and a couple of other schools have some type of affiliation. Maybe not able to get the SCMP immediately. You still have to do some whatever courses and all that. Robertson College is into that. That's here in Manitoba. I'm
Okay.
talking about Manitoba. But also in Ontario, there are a lot of schools there. There are even a lot of bridge programs. Yeah, that's very important. I mentioned that. There are a lot of bridging in Ontario. Humber College actually has something like that. And I think if I hope I'm not wrong, it's just a 6 months program where you go through this mentoring and then you also go through some upskilling knowledge and all that acquisition. And then at the end of the day, you have some type of certifications for supply chain management opportunity. So that's also another route a lot of people are taking.
Yeah.
Mention the other certifications like the American one, the EPICS. What I found out with my group, the Supply Jobs Canada group, is I realized that the CSCP, which is a Certified Supply Chain Professional Program, which is run by EPICS, it's kind of an easy way to go into supply chain or to
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
3 years best.
Mm.
I mean, I don't want to say it here, so it doesn't look like I'm putting some guys out. It costs an arm and a leg for some of these certifications in supply chain, but I won't go there. But at least CSCP. What we found in my group is that CSCP will be a way for you to quickly get that recognition. It's just 3 modules, right? Just do 3 modules exams, and you get access to learning systems, and you're done. I've
Yeah.
seen two in my group that already done that, and they're CSCP certified. So
Yeah.
that's the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. I know a couple of people who have done that as well because it's quick and easy,
Mm.
right? And I think, if it's a career path that you're really serious about, when I tell people, are you serious about this career path? Whatever it is you want to do, then you have to just pay the sacrifice initially, right? Invest in yourself. At the end of the day, you to bear its fruits, right? You get the harvest. So with regards to supply chain analyst roles, there's in Canada and of course in the US as well, I see a lot of roles that ask for SAP.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, ask for SAP experience or knowledge. So what modules really, because I know from my knowledge of SAP, the SAP Ariba module is basically
Okay.
what's used like in supply chain. So what modules really, if one has to, start picking up that skill. Say I want to start learning a lot more about the ERPs that are being used, right?
Okay.
What modules, based on your experience, do you find are, most in demand for, knowledge?
So in supply chain generally it will be material management. Material management module is basically the ones used in carrying out all the transactional activities that has to do with acquisition of materials and
Yeah.
services. Okay, so that's a very critical one. Of course, if you are into the business analysis area, you can consider other modules like maybe finance. Like if you're not particular about supply chain, you can do the finance module, or because finance one actually that's the foundation of it. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
every report from all these other modules has to go into the finance module. So that's
Yeah.
the most critical one. And then you have the HR module as well. So if you have people who are into business analysis and they feel like that's their own area of specialization, they can go into the HR aspects of things. And then of course for the sourcing one, which is the one you mentioned, the Ariba one, uh,
Yeah.
basically that is a tool that you use in managing the sourcing for source to pay is what they call it. From the acquisition to the payment process. So that's when you'll be interested in the Ariba, and Ariba is cloud based as well. So that's the interesting thing about the Ariba one. And there are tons of, I mean, SAP has a lot of cloud-based applications. They've acquired all these companies that are in that space that you won't even know there is an SAP product. Okay, things like success factors, things like field glass, things like there's a particular one that they use, Concur, I think. There is Concur that is used in reimbursements, like if you go on travels and all that as a consultant and you need to be reimbursed, they use Concur for that. That's also an SAP product. So when it comes to SAP, it's just even on the developmental, like if you're into the development of the software itself, there are
Yeah.
that could be an area that somebody wants to go into.
True.
The aspects of the technology development itself. So it might be somebody who is a project manager who is specifically interested in the technology development deployment of SAP. So there is also some other certifications you can do in that area. There's the one they call Solman, which is Solman is solution management. That is actually the tool that is used in deploying the technology. So all of the business requirements, gathering and elicitation and all that happens in Solman.
Yeah.
Project management will definitely be interested in that. There is also this might be the guys who are interested in the architecture aspect of things. There is also for the Solman, they're used for business requirements gathering for sure. Then there are different types of applications in that area. There's also the user interface aspects of it. So there will be some people who are also just interested in the user interface, and that's all they want to be focused on. Yeah, there's also that. There are certifications for all of those. Might be the architects, right? Like people who.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's SAP is pretty interesting. It's huge. It's big.
Mhm.
I know because it's big, it's also going to be confusing. But anybody who is a business analyst and you're interested in the supply chain, specifically supply chain aspect, I would
Yeah.
say go into the material management module. That would be the one you're looking into, or the sales and distribution one.
Okay.
So when we talk about supply chain, there's the customer facing side, and then there's the one that we're facing suppliers. The one
Yeah.
as is the material management, the one facing the customers is the sales and distribution module.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting.
So those are the two modules you would go for if your focus is on the supply chain management. There are also tons of other ones but the ones I would advise you to go into like an entry level one into that space to take consider the material management and the sales and distributions.
Wow. What I've come to understand, from a lot of things that you shared today is that there's a lot of transferable skills, from your business analysis skills, your data skills, your architecture skills,
Exactly.
right? Project management skills, but it all depends on the interest you have in supply chain, because all the skills that you have that are transferable, you will just need to, get a grasp of the supply chain industry in itself, understand the
Exactly.
ins and outs of it, and you're good to go, basically,
Exactly.
right? But just like,
It's
yeah,
huge opportunity.
yeah, just with every industry, you have to keep upskilling, so grab as many industry certifications or skills, your CBAP, your PMP. I find
Yeah.
a lot of supply chain management professionals today have the PMP, Six Sigma, Agile, it's not out of place. People feel, oh, anything Agile, I have to be working with software
Yeah,
development.
I have a news for you. There's
Yeah,
actually now procurement.
awesome.
Yeah, now procurement.
Awesome.
There it's not like it's evolving now. With the agile methodology has really gone deep into procurement now. Like if you are into that, then it is very, very relevant in
Yeah.
procurement as well.
Awesome. Now, someone asked a question. The person said he has a master's in supply chain management, and he wants to know, if with his master, and I found a lot of people who did a master's in supply chain, and I know the time UK was like all the schools in the UK were really marketing their supply chain masters, right? So a lot of people, and this period, it was, about 10, 5 to 10 years ago, a lot of people went abroad and did masters in supply chain management, but they're sort of like, how can I really utilize this masters? I've met people who got a master's in supply chain, but they didn't get
Yeah,
a supply chain job. And yeah, so how can I really move into practicing as a supply chain analyst or even as a business analyst with my masters?
okay, so the question I think I would have there are these people here in Canada or in United States, because you have that context to all these things as well. If they are in Canada here,
You say, so I don't know.
okay, so if
Yeah.
they are here in Canada and you have that masters, I will
Mm.
tell you this: fine, it's great you have that academic qualification, but when it comes to the industry, you need to have an industry certification.
Right.
And those are the certification we all talked about earlier. So you actually drive on the point that you are sure of what you're talking about, not just on the academic level. If you acquire an industry certification, that way you get recognition for that
Yeah.
master's that you have. It's not that you might not actually get with your master's, but yes, what it is. If you got the master from outside of Canada, it
Yeah.
is, because then there's this
Mm.
recognition thing that needs to happen. But getting those industry certification here will
Yeah.
help with that process. If you
Yeah.
are outside, like you're in Nigeria or in India, you are in Colombia, you have this certificate, you have this degree, and you're coming to Canada. Well, I would say while you are still out there, well, reach out to some of these associations. They will provide you with what you need to do right off the bat. I
Exactly.
know CSCP is global, so you're actually able to do the certification wherever you are.
Awesome. That's awesome.
It's global. I know people who did it while they were in Nigeria, and they're here. They're using that certification.
Yeah.
So that would be a good one for those people you are talking about. They have masters, but then they need to have an industry certification.
Yeah.
For that, for them to get that recognition and get considered for. But of course, you and I know there's the paperwork aspect of this thing when it comes to getting a job in the industry. You have
Yeah.
to on out too. Because if
Exactly.
issue. Maybe that's the issue. We don't know, but you need to figure out that aspects of thing as well. The job search situation, in Canada,
And
definitely.
that would be my next question, actually. So, I arrive here, I have maybe I did my certifications, before I got here. So I have certification and all that stuff. Getting a job, how can one, get into the industry? We know, getting the certification would be great, but what other tips can you share regards to getting that, supply
Okay.
analyst?
Yeah, it's an interesting area for me. When it comes to getting a job in Canada, I've did quite some work myself. I'm working with some other folks who are going through that situation, and I will tell you there's some barriers you will be facing. And the moment the earlier that you address those barriers, the better. I will list those barriers. Of course, you know the Canadian work experience barrier, right? So yeah, let's take that one out already. And there's also the qualification barrier.
Yeah.
Qualification is from elsewhere and is a degree. Well, you have to basically quickly acquire a qualification that will be recognized here. This is where I normally would advise you to get a global certifications like PMP, like Six Sigma, and all that. You need that recognition
Yeah.
so that those degrees can count. Okay,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
if you don't do that, you'll face the qualification
I tell
barrier.
people, but I don't know. I guess it's a lot of different information all around. But I say, you want to also validate your, what is accepted here and acceptable, right?
Okay,
So, getting all the global industry certifications, also count.
count a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go to the communication barrier. Okay, communication barrier is another big one, especially for immigrants, because fine, we have degrees. Some of us even studied English, but the situation here is that you're in Canada. It's a different cultural context, even in terms of the English and the way they speak it. So I don't know if you've heard the pardon me a lot. I heard it a lot when I just came into Canada. And some of the guys that are very talented, they are highly experienced, they go into these interviews only to realize that they were great, but they were better fit. When we say better fit, that particular language right there, it could mean a lot of things. It's a layered response, it's a layered feedback. So what I tell people is try to get some feedback as soon as possible, because that way you know that if there is this issue, then you need to fix it. If it's communication barriers issue, you need to fix it. I mean, it's not a big deal sometimes. Sometimes it's just some basic things, because I also have a coach. I have a communication consultant that helps me with these things.
Yeah.
Only when I started working with her that I realized that I don't pronounce my H. Okay? In
Mm,
Nigeria, H is silent, super silent. But
mm,
I realized that in Canada, you have to don't sound your H, they wouldn't hear it.
mm.
Okay? And they would think you're saying something. So all these things, you need to figure it out, work with somebody to help you with it, because it's going to make a lot of difference in terms of, the result you're getting when you go to interviews. So aside from that, is a major, major, major barrier right now. You need to watch this one. Trust barriers. Okay, trust, but honestly, we have trust issues. That is why when they tell you Canadian work experience about they don't trust your experience. Simple as that. I mean, what are you telling me? Canadian work experience. We have people who work at managerial level,
Like,
direct level. Then
yeah.
you're telling them to come and get Canadian, come on, get out of here. It's about trust. You do not trust the experience that these
Mm,
people have. That's what they are telling you. And I
mm.
normally will let people know here that, and for a fact, people always do business with whom they trust.
Yeah.
If people don't trust you, they don't do business with you.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So it's the same situation we're seeing here with job search, where because you do not have a social footprint in Canada,
Mm,
claim you're this, you're that, you're that. Okay, go show me. Go show me by getting the Canadian work experience, and let those people now tell me that you can really do that. Nobody is willing to take that risk. They want another company to take that risk, and that's fair enough. Like, okay, I don't know this guy from Adam. He just showed me these two pieces of papers and say, oh, I'm this, I'm that.
yeah.
Like human beings who wouldn't really trust on those two sheets of papers. And
Mm,
that's where I encourage a lot of people who have experience from back home. Show it. I mean, LinkedIn has provided you with that platform to show your capability. So
Exactly.
a lot of people are holding back. They are too shy to, even respond to comments or even share
Yeah,
their.
exactly. Exactly.
And this is what is holding a lot of people back. And the other one that I will help people with in terms of when they hear now, go network, go network, go network. I will heard it so many times, like everybody's feeling dizzy with this go networking stuff.
Yeah.
Networking is a catchphrase word for a lot of things.
Mm,
So I'm just gonna help to break it down for people. Networking is building trust and relationships.
exactly.
If you're not building trust and relationship in your industry and you're just saying, "Oh, I need a job, I need a job," it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a lot of
Exactly.
thousands of efforts as well. So you need to start building trust and relationship within the industry. LinkedIn is huge for that. I tell you what, I actually developed what you call the industry approach. This is a model that I developed to actually help people to understand what is networking means, to break it down into the ABCs.
Yeah.
Uh, because really it is about your value proposition. You
Exactly.
don't go approach people on LinkedIn and say, "I'm looking for a job," and then go
I
hunting
don't
them
know
down.
why people do this. I still don't understand how I get these messages every day. I'm like, that's really not how to go about it. Not at all. Not at
What
all.
value can you offer? What
Yeah.
value can you offer? And it's as simple as this: share information,
Yeah.
connect people. You're offering value that way. It
Exactly.
doesn't have to be that you're an expert in this or no. Start with those little things. Share information with people uh,
Yeah.
in your network.
Yeah.
Um, connect people in your network.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why I created the Supply Jobs Canada platform, because it's a place where you have, and I actually would like to bring you into that network as well, because we're a group of consultants, we're a group of mentors. We have our own businesses, and some of us are professionals. So we work together. We help us.
You
Yeah,
teach
yeah. It's a supply chain group. So and I thought.
I say you teach me supply chain and I'll add that to my skills.
Exactly. Exactly. We have a lot of some of the guys that I showed you in that slide there.
Mm,
Some of them are directors of
mm,
supply chain. In the organization where they worked when they before they relocated Canada. Some of them
yeah,
are project managers. Some of them have implemented these systems you're talking about.
yeah,
If you're there on that slide there, he implements for a lot of Nigerian organizations, and we're also global. We have people in Nigeria, people in India, people in
yeah,
all over the place, in that group, and everybody brings their own knowledge and their experience, and we help each other to achieve our goals, in terms of career. So, that's one key thing for anybody also who is trying to build trust and relationship in Canada. You need to have a tribe. Go find your tribe.
exactly, exactly.
I know you have also something of that nature
Yeah,
happening. Find a community, let them know about you, let them know what you have to offer. Provide
yeah,
information in that group, share information with them, connect them with experts, connect them with connectors. And before you know it, people will know you. They will see, yo, this guy have a lot to offer.
and something very important is be willing to give more than you take. There's
Exactly.
something very powerful about giving. People really do not understand the power behind giving. And I was going
Yeah.
to ask, are there volunteer opportunities for people who want to move into supply chain? Here, since you're based in Canada, are there those opportunities? Apart from being in a tribe, I find a lot of people, you're trying to get a job, but you're not volunteering, you're not giving, you're not showing your value, building your personal brand, using LinkedIn. Nobody really knows what you can offer,
Yeah.
right? When I know that I know I know John has the skills. I know what he can do. When I see an opportunity, I remember him, right? I have some people in my community that I know their skills and I haven't worked with them directly, but I can vouch for what they can do because of my interaction with them. And that's how I've been able to even refer people, into
Exactly.
where I work, because I can say, I can tell the manager this person would deliver, right? Nobody really knows what you do or what you're up to, right? You're not
Exactly.
your personal brand and you're not sharing, then you're kind of doing yourself a disfavor. Are there any volunteer opportunities for people who want to move into this industry?
In terms of volunteer opportunities,
Yeah.
I know there's some organizations out there. I just that I've not really been able to be close enough to understand how their volunteering works.
Yeah.
They get a lot of people in supply chain to volunteer for them. I think it's Red Cross. Uh,
Oh, okay.
because they
Okay.
deploy this relief, engage in these activities, and they work with a lot of supply chain people in terms of volunteering. Beyond that, I've not really been able to say this is a volunteering opportunity. But if you're looking for volunteering opportunity, you can work with me. I have a lot of stuff going. We in our group we do a lot of activities around monthly themes. Our theme for this month actually is mentors. I mean, last month was mentors, so we're featuring a lot of people in our group. This month we're talking about the career development and where sorry, industry tour. Actually, industry tour is this month. So we are looking for people who actually can reach out to the industry to let them tell us what is happening in their world, like in their industry, in terms of all these different activities that ties in into supply chain. That way also you're able to connect with these folks who are hiring. You're able to build the trust and relationships we're talking about with these
Sure.
folks. I'm getting a lot of results already from some of the folks that I've asked to go do this stuff. They're telling me, oh, this person told them there's a job opportunity. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's how it works. So,
Nice.
yeah, so I tell you, the opportunities that LinkedIn are also provided. Maybe you don't even need volunteering, in a way. You need to actually show your value. What have you done
Yeah.
previously in your, maybe your previous experience, and how can that solve some organization's problem? Now, if you go to LinkedIn, there are a lot of people who are talking about, oh, they have these issues, they have that issue. I mean, those are opportunities for you to be able to say, "Yeah, you know what, I've done something similar to that back home. How can I help?
Be a
How
solution provider. Yeah,
can I
totally.
be? Exactly. That's what value proposition is. And if you're
Yeah.
able to actually do that, to offer that solution to that company or that person, I
Yeah.
think if you have an opportunity in that same company and you're supposed to get a referral from them, they would say no. Of course not.
Yeah.
That's how it works about building strategic relationships. Actually, that's what I call it.
Yeah.
Strategic
Yeah.
relationships. And there's also what is called a reverse mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Reverse mentoring. How reverse mentoring works is this. On a good day, I would say, okay, I'm the expert in supply chain management and I can mentor somebody. But in reverse mentoring, I have some skills. Um, I mean, there are some skills I don't have.
Yeah, for sure.
Analytics, like,
Mm,
no, okay, I'm not good at data analytics, and you have data analytics experience, even though you don't have a job. How about you teach me?
exactly.
Reverse mentoring, then if there's an opportunity and I know a colleague who works in that organization, would I say I wouldn't be able to refer you? Of course
Yeah.
not. I would even tell them you help me with some knowledge about Python or Tableau or whatever.
Yeah.
That's reverse mentoring there, and it's also very effective in
Mm,
building trust and relationship within the industry.
sure.
I
Sure.
hope that answered your question, because I know I like to talk a lot.
Yes, you definitely did. And of course, you went above and beyond, and that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow, it's been awesome having you here. I mean, it's been enlightening, and a lot of people, have shared, how amazing this has been for them. So Ifeanyi is actually here, and he says, "Well done."
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
And well done for sharing your knowledge in this new growing area. Ruben says, "This is awesome."
Yeah, yeah,
Mark,
yeah.
thanks for the information. And Oge says, well spoken, give more than you take. The hands of the giver is always on top. For sure, for sure. Give, regardless of the situation, whether you're working or you're not, or not, if there's an opportunity for you to give to someone because you know better, right? You have some knowledge, you can always share, right?
Yeah.
People who are into get into supply chain and you already have supply chain experience, you can share with them and also learn some things from them, like you explained, the reverse mentoring. So on notes, right?
I just like to quickly jump in here. So on my platform, I actually have a business analysis channel, and I tell you what, the information I have there is very bare. Okay. I think I have the CBAB guidelines, and I also think I have some interviews for business analysts, and that's all it is. So here's a volunteer opportunity for anybody who wants to volunteer. Go into that channel and just generate information for us regarding business analysis. How about that?
Yeah, Edwin is asking, he said, how can one key into the volunteer opportunities offered by Abiodun? So it's Supply Jobs Canada, that's the network, but you can tell them more about it.
Yeah, sure. So the Supply Jobs Canada platform is a place where we have a lot of consultants, mentors, also professionals. We're kind of sharing information amongst each other to help our career development. And we also share job opportunities. Some of the things I think people need to know that we do there also is this: that if there's a job opportunity that you saw and you know that referral is very, very important, then reach out to the group and tell us that, look, I'm applying to this role. Does any one of you know somebody that can provide referral? And then we can say, yeah, there who I actually can reach out to and connect you guys. Maybe you could provide. That's one of different. I mean, Ernst & Young, as part of the research that I did, Ernst & Young actually bank on referral. They say that people that they hire through referral stay longer, and they than any other type of route. So they are even banking on it in the sense that they pay their employees who refer candidates that are successful.
Yeah, a lot of companies do that. A lot of companies, they pay referral fees for referring people, because they believe good people know good people. That's the truth, right?
Exactly. And a friend of a friend is a friend, right? A friend of a friend is a friend. So if somebody referred you to an organization, guess what? You become their friends. And because of that, you integrate easily into that environment. You're able to navigate the cultural landscape than somebody who just drop out of the sky and doesn't know anyone. Just like, okay, what is going on here, right? Benefits of referral, and organizations know the benefit. They know that people coming through referral will do better, and they have that loyalty to the person that brought them in, to make sure that they perform.
Exactly. So on final notes, Edwin, I hope you got that information. So on final notes, what would you like to share with all the people who have been here? They've benefited a lot of information. The comments say that. Guys, please share your thanks to Abiodun. But on final notes, what would you like to share with these guys that have joined us today and and absorbed all
the information? For anyone who is a business analyst, for me, I'm an evangelist of supply chain management because ever since I joined supply chain management function, I realized that it gave me fulfillment, even much more than what I could have had in engineering. And I'm not saying that lightly because I know that I'm a gearhead, so like I was born an engineer, So, but for me to choose supply chain, choose supply chain management, there are some key things that I considered. I knew that supply chain, and these are also some things that are common in business analysis as well. I knew that supply chain management offers you an opportunity to socialize. Okay? If I chose engineering, oh boy,
it would be just the man and his metals, right?
Yeah. So the other thing I realized early when I got into supply chain management, I knew even before today happened that we're now talking about automation. I discovered then that automation is going to be a part of supply chain. Because what I realized that there was a lot of manual stuff, and because of my engineering background, I realized, guess what? Like this supply chain could use some automation, and so I'm not surprised about what is going on today. If you have somebody who is passionate about technology, we need that in supply chain. If you're somebody who you're like you're techie guy, supply chain is where you want to use that right now, because all of that data analytics and all of that science, all that statistics, come and use it in supply chain management, and you'll be surprised how far you're gonna go. And I'm also going to emphasize to you guys, like, it's not only about the technical skills, the soft skills really are very critical as well.
Exactly.
After that, I like to just emphasize the fact that soft skills and leadership skills are really even much more better. They're much more effective than technical skills.
Definitely, yeah.
Core skills, but guys, the soft skills are very very important as well. So on that note, I would like to say that's one contribution I like to make here. That no matter how much technical skills you gather, emotional intelligence, emotional. I mean, I listened to Ashu the other
Yesterday.
day. Well, for me personally, in my opinion, that was the most important chat
Yeah,
session you had so far since I've been watching your sessions, because that soft skill is emotional intelligence is really the key.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, someone says detailed and very informative. He actually asked the question. I read out one of his questions. He's the one that has a master's in supply chain management. So he said very insightful. I hope you got the answer to your question. Edwin sends his thanks. I'm sure he'll reach out to you very soon. Edwin, reach out to Abiodun definitely. And Akinola says good information. Thank you. Ruben says, I'm just beginning to take interest in supply chain. I have contacted the professional body already. I'm about to register. I'm currently into inventory control in the distribution department of the hospital here in SK. Any advice?
Okay, so just beginning to take interest. Okay, contact the body to register currently into. So does he have a role in that department? Is what he's saying, I believe, in the hospital
Yeah,
there in
he's in inventory control in the
inventory
hospital.
control. Yeah, inventory control is also a very critical aspect, because we're talking about capital, right? Like a lot of companies, when they stock all these products, like it's a lot of capital that is tied down. So yeah, you're in a very important function in supply chain, but I mean, you should look into actually going into procurement as well. Because with procurement, you're able to tie even all of these loose ends together beyond stocks that are tied out into capital. A lot of people who go into inventory control seems to be interested in the finance aspects. But if you really want to take it to the next level, yeah, procurement should be your target in supply chain management. And I don't mean to de-emphasize the other functions. I mean, we have the demand planners. I don't want to. I know there is a demand planning army. I don't want them to call me here and tell.
Yeah, supply chain is so broad. It's so broad.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
broad.
yeah. Yeah, guys who are into demand planning. Demand planning actually, because of the COVID-19, it also became very, very important, because what we've seen is the demand planning has been de-emphasized for a long time. There are some times when they integrate them with sales and operations and all of that. But we now have what they call it demand-driven demand planning. I mean, data, is it data driven or something like that nature, DTRM or something of that nature. So we have the guys who are also into that area, and yeah, true. They also have a critical role to play, because prior to this COVID-19, the area of supply chain that is very very critical is the supply chain planning aspects of things, and they fall into that category. So anyone who really wants to know supply chain also should be familiar with those areas, the demand planning and supply chain planning aspects of things as well.
Awesome. Wow, it's been quite an enlightening and informative session. Super packed, lots of information. Guys, if you didn't join early enough, you can always go back and watch the replay here on LinkedIn. You can watch it on YouTube as well, because there's a lot of information. In fact, there was a slide deck, presentation that was also shared. Adochi, I don't know if you joined us early enough, but your question was answered in regards to your master's. You could definitely look into getting the supply chain certification. And, with business analysis, you can look at the CBAP or CCBA, depending on your years of experience. So on that note, we'd like to say bye. Thank you, everyone. Fantastic way to end the week, with Abiodun sharing his passion in supply chain and really how to, move into this emerging role of the supply chain business analyst. So thank you once again, Abiodun. It was a pleasure having you here.
My pleasure. I mean, I so much appreciate you bringing me here, and I mean, this is something I love to do, and I want to appreciate you bringing me to this chat with you.
For sure.
I'm looking forward to more collaborations with you. Actually,
definitely. Definitely. On that note, I will say bye. Have a wonderful weekend. Please send your thanks to Abiodun. Connect with him. If you have questions with regards to supply chain. Join the Supply Jobs Canada network. And any advice that you need in regards to supply chain, he's your guy. He's got you covered in that area. And then with regards to business analysis, check out my analysis where I share more about how to build a career in business analysis and how to use transferable skills that you have to get a business analyst job. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you, Abiodun. Bye.
Bye.